What's up, fellas? Make sure y'all shop them tees, baby. All right, so I had a guy said, hey man, all you do is talk about losing weight, man. When you talk about some weight, how to build muscle for us skinny guys. Well, here you go. So this video here, guys, is about how to bulk healthy. So here's the thing, guys. The main thing you need to know about if you're trying to bulk and put on muscle and things like that, guys, is it's got to be a small surplus, all right? Not fucking 50 calories, not that fucking small, but it don't need to be 1,000 either. You need to be in a surplus of about 300 to 500 calories, all right? And if you're a serious hard gainer, you probably can do 500 calories, preferably. All right, if you're an endomorph, you probably want to stick on the low end of that since you put on fat real easy, 300 calories or something like that. But you get some of these guys around here, these ectomorphs, these guys who can't put on weight for shit, they easily have to be in a 500 calorie surplus, all right? So here's the thing you need to know, guys, is none of that shit means nothing if your training program is not on point. That means that if you don't have a rock solid training program, I don't give a fuck if you're in a 2,000 calorie surplus. Won't no strength gains happen if you're not on a well organized training program, a well structured training program. That means with your overload principles, your deloads, all that has to be on point. Everything has to be on point. So you need to make sure you follow a well structured training program. All right, and there's some good ones out there too. All right, so make sure you're on a I don't want to endorse now because people take these diets and people take these training programs to the death of them. So find one that works for you. What works for me might not work for you. All my clients that I train, I always takes me a little while to figure out what works for their body. I can't just take some guy off the street and 2 weeks he making phenomenal gains. I gotta find out what works for his body. This guy here might could do, chest 2 times a week, 6 sets per workout, and this other guy might could do chest twice a week, 8 sets per workout. It all depends, guys. Some guys could do 75% workout in the 75, 80% a maximum load range, and some guys get better response out of working in the 65% of the maximum load range. It just all depends, guys. You gotta just play around with it and find out what works for your body. It literally might take you fucking 5 years to find what's optimal for your body, if not longer. All right, if not longer. So just keep playing around with it, see what works. If you ain't making good gains, switch it up, try something different. All right, so that's the thing with that. All right. If you own a structured program, say it's a good program, you know it's working because you're constantly getting stronger as you enter the gym and you hit plateaus, you want to up the calories again, all right? Small increments. So say you're an ectomorph and you're at a 500 surplus and you own a structured program, you was gaining strength, and all of a sudden the weight loss the weight gain stopped. And the strength gain stop. All right, time to up the calories again. Try 200, 300 first. See how that go. If not, do another 500 surplus or whatever, especially if you're ectomorph. If you're endomorph, just stick to around the 200 to 300 surplus. All right, if you endomorph, you got a lot of endomorph in you. Of course, none of us are 100% endomorph, mesomorph, or ectomorph, but if you know you got more endomorph in you than anything, obviously you want to stick to the small surplus. And if you're ectomorph, if you can't gain weight for shit, if you got a lot of ectomorph in you, then probably stick to the 500. Some ectomorphs can even do a bigger surplus than that. Some ectomorphs, man, I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen ectomorphs guys who they had to be on a fucking 1,000 calorie surplus. All right, so that's the thing with that. And here's the thing, guys. If you're ectomorph, you like, man, how the fuck am I gonna get that many calories in? I can't eat that fucking much, guys. If you're ectomorph and you're a hard gainer, you're gonna have to learn how to drink your calories, okay? Drink you some kind of weight gainer shake that is carb dominant. You don't need to be sitting drinking 400 grams of fucking protein a day, wrecking your fucking kidneys, all right? I remember one time I was drinking so much protein trying to bulk because that's what all the magazines say, 2 grams per pound of body weight, right? Trying to sell you all that fucking protein. My back was hurting because it was my fucking kidneys was hurting from all that fucking protein. Now, luckily, I ain't getting no kidney stones or some shit like that. But guys, don't go over, even if you're bulking, do not go over 1 gram per pound of body weight. All right. I mean, that's high. I preferably like to stick with the 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, but definitely if you're bulking, you definitely don't want to go over the 1 gram per pound of weight. All right, so definitely don't do that. You run the risk of your kidneys fucking hurting. Now, I've had that shit happen. So what you need is a carb dominant shake, and they sell those at the store, guys. They sell these little fucking glucose drinks where it's full of sugars and shit, for it's mostly carb dominant. And obviously, guys, if you're ectomorph and you're a hard gainer and you're having a hard time bulk, stay away from vegetables. Stick to probably take vitamins, because vegetables are very filling and you need calories. You don't need something that's filling you up. All right, so to get your micronutrients in, take your multivitamin. And to be quite honest with you guys, if you eat oatmeal or brown rice and shit like that, you're going to get your fucking micronutrients in. All right, they over-exaggerate this shit with how much micronutrients you need in and shit like this. Guys, it's very easy to get your micronutrients in if you're eating a well-balanced diet. If you're eating oatmeal, whole wheat bread, and things like that. All right, so you ain't got to be fearful that you ain't going to get your micronutrients needs met if you're not eating a fucking whole big old bowl of vegetables every night. All right, so just stick to that you probably gonna get your micronutrients in. If it makes you feel better, take a fucking multivitamin. But I say as long as you're eating a lot of whole grain foods, you really don't need the multivitamin. That should be more than enough to get your micronutrients met. All right, so make sure you're drinking a lot of your calories if you're a hard gainer. All right, and here's the thing, guys. If you try to go overboard and gain all this fucking weight on a bulk, just understand that means that's the longer you dieting down, which means that you run a risk of losing it back. So let's hypothetically say you want to put on 50 pounds, 60 pounds in a bulk, and you ain't really gained a whole lot of muscle. Let's hypothetically say you gain 10 pounds of muscle and you put on 60 pounds of weight. So that means you got 50 pounds of fat to lose back. There's a great chance that dieting back down, you're gonna lose a lot of that 10 pounds of muscle you put on trying to get that 50 pounds off. All right, so to put on that 10 pounds of muscle, you would have been much more optimal if you would have put on like 30 or 35 pounds opposed to 60 pounds. All right, you're gonna put some fat on. They can't go hand in hand. It's impossible for you to put on muscle without being in a surplus. So you're gonna put fat on, but just going crazy on the surplus, understand that if you're thinking like, well, what's the big deal if I put on a little weight, I just lose it back. Well, the longer you're in a calorie deficit, the greater risk of you losing muscle. So you're probably gonna lose a lot of the muscle you gained during the bulk, which is now is counterproductive. So stick to small fat gain. You don't want to be putting on a whole bunch of weight that you got to lose back in the end, because then you run the risk of losing the muscle back. All right, so that's why it's important for you to know that. Make sure that you're not gaining no more than a pound a week. That's it, a pound a week, no more than that. If you bulked a whole year and you gained a pound a week, that's 52 pounds. All right, and that's a lot of weight. And that's why I say that's at the utmost, and that's after a year bulk. All right, so preferably, if you ask me, I would like for you to gain about maybe 2 to 3 pounds a month. All right, let's say 3 pounds a month. If you did that for a year, you're talking about 36 pounds. That's an optimal bulk. And you bulk for a year, you put on 36 pounds. Let's say out of that 36, you put on 10 pounds of muscle. Now you got 25 pounds of fat to lose. That is an optimal diet. All right, that means your bulk was successful. So let's stick to that rep range. All right, guys, that's the trick to bulking. If you're ectomorph, you could do the larger calorie surplus. And if you're having a hard time getting your calories in, just make sure you're drinking them. All right, don't be doing a whole bunch of fat. You can't eat 200 grams of fat. It does nothing for your energy source to push the weight. All right, all you're gonna need is about 0.5 of your lean body mass to get your fat gains met. And remember, going crazy on the protein, you run the risk of fucking hurting your kidneys and your back hurting and shit like that. You need carbohydrates. That what gives you the energy, the ATP, to push out the reps, which is gonna put on the muscle. All right, once your fat and your minimum protein requirements have been met, the carbs is what's gonna give you the ATP energy to push out the weight. But your program has to be on fucking point. I don't care what your surplus. You can be in a 5,000 calorie surplus a day. If your program is not on point, if you ain't got with somebody who put you on a program and know what the fuck they doing, you still won't gain no strength. If you sitting there overtraining, working out 2 hours a day, I don't give a fuck if you in a 10,000 calorie surplus, you still ain't gonna gain no fucking muscle. Your program has to be on point. That is first and foremost. Once that happens, now the surplus is how you do it. If you're ectomorph, just make sure you're drinking a lot of your calories, because it's gonna be damn near impossible to eat that many calories. All right, guys. Hope this helped that guy out. If you guys got any more questions, ask them down below. I'm making a video one a day. Put them down below. I'll see what it is, and I'll make the video about it. All right, like the video, share the video, comment down below. Holla back.